Hey, this is Anney, and welcome to Stuff Mom Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. And today, we have a very special recording for you for a couple of reasons. First off, Samantha is away. I'm going to talk about it more in a second, but she is on a birthday trip. She is better from COVID, but she's on a birthday trip. But that means that my good friend, Lauren, and coworker Lauren, who is on the Savor podcast with me, is filling in on what is quite an interesting experience we're having right now. We'll talk about it in a second. But welcome, Lauren, to Sminty.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Hi. Hello. I am so glad to be here in this bizarre circumstance with you.
Thank you. You stepped up because we got asked to go on this work trip to Las Vegas, where we are recording live from the iHeart podcast studio powered by Bose at the House of Music at the iHeartRadio Music Festival. And it's like a booth in the middle of a festival.
Of a music festival?
Yes.
So yeah, and we have like this cool just plexiglass door.
Yeah.
So it feels like an action figure box.
It does
so
feel that way.
passerby can just kind of like stare at us and take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which makes me, as a podcaster who does this in my house with my cat, very comfortable. This is completely natural.
Right. Very natural. I mean, yeah. I'm looking out right now and trying not to think too much about it. But we are very excited to have you. Thank you so much for volunteering to talk about this. And we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun.
Oh, we certainly are. If it had been any other topic, I might have been like, you know.
You do that one by yourself. But yeah, so we're here for the iHeart Music Festival, and we've had a good time. We've had a good time.
Yeah.
But it's been a whirlwind. And yes, Samantha is away. Her birthday is September 26th, which happens to be the Last of Us Day. She always makes fun of me when I point that out. But that got me thinking, like, what could we talk about that would be in that kind of horror realm?
All right.
You know, I don't need an excuse to talk about stuff like that.
0%.
Right. But I was like, what could it be? And then I was thinking, what could it be that would fit with you and it wouldn't be too much research? And then I realized it's the 30th anniversary of the X-Files.
Ooh, which makes me feel very old, but in a really fun way.
Yes. Well, I'm glad for that. And so I was just like, I feel the X-Files, and we're going to talk about this, has come up in so many of our episodes when that wasn't the topic, that wasn't the case, that wasn't what we were looking into.
Because you've done a couple on purpose. Like you did one about Scully, like in general, as like a fictional lady human. And then you did one with Bridget about, the Scully effect in science. The
Scully effect. Yeah.
STEM.
Yes. And we will talk about that a little bit. But it just kept coming up, and I was so intrigued by that. I was so interested in why it is that I'm looking into the history of shipping and I'm learning about X-Files, or I'm looking into the history of fan fiction and I'm learning about X-Files.
And as your listeners probably know, you're not talking about like ground to air shipping. Like you're talking about like fan fiction shipping. Yeah.
No, but hilariously enough, Samantha did think that's what we were talking about in the shipping episode. Samantha, I love you.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. Oh, geez.
She was like, what are we talking about? Ground shipping? I was like, no.
No, honey. Nah.
No. So I thought it would just be fun when we're here in Las Vegas. We're in this very interesting setup. If we could have a conversation about both how this show impacted the internet, because as I've said a million times, I'll say it again in this probably, when we're talking about fan fiction, when we're talking about fan spaces, a lot of that is women, non-binary people, queer people. So I think it is, if anyone's like, why is this on a feminist show? I think that is enough to be worth talking about.
Yeah.
But also the impact of Scully specifically. But I just think it would be fun for you and me who liked the show but have different perspectives to discuss at this 30th anniversary.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Excellent. Excellent. Also, Samantha made it very clear that we have a book that we're trying to sell.
Oh, yeah.
The Stuff Mom Never Told You book. And there is a bunch of stuff about Scully in there. So,
oh, heck yeah.
Tied in.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But, all right. I feel like sometimes, do you ever feel this way, Lauren, where you know something so well, you feel like you don't have to explain it?
Absolutely.
But you're not sure if maybe no one else knows what you're talking about.
Yes, I feel that exact way about the X-Files.
Okay, great.
And so I kind of try to, I feel like I overcompensate by over-explaining, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am in the same boat. But, so that being said, I am not going to give a big explainer of the X-Files. That would take way too long, and that's not really what this is about. But I will tell you a brief summary.
Great, sure, perfect. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Let's ground ourselves in reality before we go completely bonkers. Love it.
The truth is out there. The X-Files is a sci-fi paranormal television show that debuted in 1993, and it follows the believer, Fox Mulder, played by David Duchovny, and the skeptic, Dana Scully, played by Gillian Anderson. They're FBI agents that are assigned to the X-Files, which is sort of a catch-all for weird, paranormal, and strange cases that pretty much no one else but Mulder wants to work on. Would you add anything else to that description?
Yeah, his nickname around the FBI campus is Spooky. Fox Spooky Mulder. So that pretty much tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, and he's like in a basement, like in the dark.
Oh yeah. It used to be the copy room.
Yes.
And then Scully gets called. Dana Scully gets called in to basically like tattle on him. Right.
That's how it starts. So she's supposed to be the one that's like,
Yeah, she is a skeptic.
She is. And again, if this was a different episode, we could talk about, she wears a cross.
Yeah.
And there's a whole arc examining her
Absolutely.
beliefs.
Her faith. Yeah.
Yeah. But when this came out, I read a lot of articles that were like, it was not set up to be successful. It was coming out on Friday nights, I believe, which is sort of known as the death slot.
Yeah. Even the creator, Chris Carter, definitely didn't think it was going to get more than one season. He was epically unprepared for that happening, and was kind of like scrambling. He was like, "Oh, more? Really? I wasn't. This plot arc doesn't make any sense. Really? Okay, sure.
I'll figure something out."
So if you've ever thought that the myth arc, if you're a watcher of the X-Files and you've ever thought that the myth arc is very silly, that's maybe the reason why.
Yeah. I mean, what a fascinating mindset to be like, this is definitely going to fail. Oh, whoa, it did it. Oh no, what do I do now? But one of the interesting things, the X-Files came out during third wave feminism, and there was a lot of stuff happening in this sphere. And one of the interesting things about Scully, who we're going to talk about a lot in this, is that she was the skeptic. She was playing against kind of stereotypical gendered type.
Yeah.
And according to Chris Carter, who was the creator of the series, he was like, immediately he wanted to cast her, but the network was like, they wanted a bombshell, and apparently they wanted Pamela Anderson.
I love this alternate universe in which that happened. No, I mean, okay, first of all, I am personally offended that anyone would say that Gillian Anderson is not a bombshell.
Right.
She is a beautiful lady. There's that episode. There's an image that lives in my mind permanently, and thank the universe for living there, is the moment in an episode of Hannibal season 3 when she is swanning through an Italian palazzo, and she is just a divine creature, just absolutely heckin' gorgeous. And I'm just like, so A, I'm offended. But B, what a gift that the network was that wrong and that Chris Carter fought back.
Yeah. Also, Carter said he didn't want romance between Mulder and Scully. We are going to be talking about that a lot.
Yeah. Didn't turn out that way, I guess. But
no. And so this is one of the interesting things, and we're about to get into this. I have seen all the X-Files. If you've listened to the other episodes we've done of the X-Files, though, my memory's not great. Lauren is here to help me through.
A little bit, yeah. Well, okay. So I haven't watched past season 6 with any regularity. There are what, 9 original seasons, and then they came back and did 2 shorter ones, 10 and 11, like 20 years later.
Yep. 2 movies.
2 movies. I saw the first movie. I don't think I ever bothered seeing the second one. So up through season like 6, I have a near like photographic memory. Because I watched these episodes over and over and over and over and over again in a way that only like an 11-year-old with no job can do. Just nothing but like a VHS and nothing else going on. So, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Did you record them?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I heckin' did.
Okay, well, I'm going to pick your brain about this in a second because, yes, I would love to talk about that. But yes, there was this whole idea of Scully being kind of the more logical, skeptical one, which was new.
Yeah, and her being right, like her being the scientist, like Mulder is kind of the like impassioned creative ideas guy, and she's the one going like, really, Mulder? Like, yeah, like she's the one constantly having to like check him and like be like, could we bring logic to this conversation literally at all? Right. And him usually going, no. But yeah, because like Mulder is an absolute mess. Like, and this is known from like the first episodes. Like he is just, zany is putting it kindly. And like he definitely, I think within the first season, he's like observed to have a little bit of a like porn addiction.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's like calling sex lines, like like he is completely incapable of having a relationship with a real human woman. He's frequently through these episodes the damsel in distress that Scully has to come save. And like Scully has her heckin' life together. Like she is, I mean, until she meets Mulder. And then she kind of gets dragged. Is Mulder a manic pixie dream boy?
Oh, he might be.
Oh, no. Okay.
That warrants some thought.
You know?
Something else you said, because when I gave you this assignment, and you kindly stepped up, you have been rewatching some old episodes.
I have. I've been watching like all of my favorite like season 1 through season 3 episodes this week. And it honestly holds up. It's okay. I'm biased. Like I have no way to be unbiased about this show because I loved it so hard and so much when I was a tiny child, or like a teenager, which is the same thing. No offense to any teenagers out there right now. I was certainly a tiny child during that time, but yeah, I feel like it holds up. I feel like it really, like the writing is sharp. David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson are both doing a bang-up job. All of the random side characters are doing interesting things. Like they're making interesting choices. And some of the like I was picking and choosing episodes very carefully. Okay, my favorite are 4 that were written by this one writer, Darren Morgan.
Okay.
He's the little brother of Glenn Morgan, who's one of the producers of the series. And from the beginning, he was like, please let me write for this show. This seems so cool. It's right up my alley. And Glenn was like, nah. But if you want to get in this rubber Fluke Man costume and sit in a pool for 10 hours to film the Fluke Man episode, then you can do that. And he said yes.
Yeah.
And then either later in the first season or maybe in the beginning of the second season, he's got to start writing. And he wrote my 4 favorite episodes, which are Humbug, Jose Chung's From Outer Space, War of the Copperphages, and Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose.
Oh, great titles.
Right? Yeah. And they're like the funny episodes. Like they're definitely making fun of the tropes that X-Files has already set up.
Right.
And like really playing with like how silly and funny these situations can be.
Yeah, and that was another thing you pointed out, was that this is if you haven't seen it, and I'm always interested when people discover things late, or when people discover after it's long been off the air, that it's a genre show where like you get all kinds of things in it.
Oh yeah.
It's like one is very scary, one is funny, one is a cop's like satire.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, like, right, like there's usually some kind of supernatural, paranormal kind of element to it, but other than that, they're really allowed to be either dramatic or funny or horrifying in different ways. Like you might go body horror one episode and then have a totally different like jump scare kind of horror in another one, and it's just like what they're up to. And I love the idea of that writer's room being so open and so free to be able to do that, and I think that's part of why it was such a good show.
It was, and it resonated with a lot of people, and we're going to talk about that. And it resonated with me and Lauren. So I thought we would go into sort of our personal experiences here.
Okay. Yes. Yepers.
So, yes. As I've discussed before several times, I have a very bad track record of not listening to my parents when they would tell me not to watch something. And then it turns out they were right. I probably shouldn't have watched something.
It's like they knew you. Yeah.
It's like they were like, you just shouldn't do that. So I had been told I shouldn't watch it. I really wanted to watch it. And I snuck in and watched it. And I would like watch it. I would time it because it would come on. There would be reruns on Sundays at like 3 a.m. And I would like play it really low and I'd get close to the TV. And they found out because I started having nightmares. And they're like, what? Where is this coming from? And I was like,
oh, no reason.
They're like, where did you hear of killer bees? And I was like, the news. Terrible liar. I'm a terrible liar.
It's amazing. Wow.
There is a killer bee episode. It scared me very badly. So I was banned for a while, but eventually the ban was lifted and I was allowed to watch again. And I would watch it with my friend over the phone.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yes.
In the day of like corded phones.
Yes.
Like, yep. Mm-hmm.
And her satellite connection was a little bit better than mine. Mm-hmm. And I would hear her gasp. And I'd be like, what? And then a second later, I'd be like, oh. It was so fun.
So
it's like,
cute.
Yeah. And this is also, I've told the story a million times. I didn't have the language for it at the time. But this is when I realized, probably gay.
Oh, yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. That wasn't, I didn't realize certainly at the time, right. Like I was 11, it was 1993. I didn't have the linguistics for this yet. But in college, when I realized I'm bi, I was like, oh, Mulder and Scully.
Yeah.
Of course. Why didn't I see this before?
Yeah.
It's like in retrospect, I'm like, duh, like what? Like, but that was like the one example that I would like, people would be like, what real? Like when I had kind of like my coming out to my friends. I think this is actually the first time I've ever come out on a podcast. So welcome. Welcome to that.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. But right. Like people would be like, what are you talking about? And I would be like, Mulder and Scully.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would be like, really? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. How I feel.
Yeah. It was, I just remember, because I think I was in 7th grade when I realized, and I was just watching it. And again, I didn't have the language for it, but I was just like,
I have an interest here.
Something. I feel the same way about these two characters. And we're not alone because there is there are essays you can find about how, quote, Gillian Anderson, Dana Scully made me gay from the 90s. She's jokingly referred to as the gateway lesbian of choice.
She's a good one. Come on. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And those pantsuits, let's go.
I know.
She made them look very sharp.
Oh, she did. I have a whole theory about this, and we can't get into it. But I feel like it's sort of when people are not conforming to their stereotypical genders, and that's when people are like, oh, wait a minute.
Interesting.
Yes. Yes. But that was my experience. What about you, Lauren?
Yeah. So this show started coming out when I was 11, and I was immediately hooked. My dad didn't want, my dad didn't like spooky things, so he never wanted to be watching it. Like, I couldn't watch it with him in the room, but which is part of why I started videotaping it. He was totally like, yeah, do whatever you want, kid. But no, I was obsessed. Mm-hmm. I was very obsessed. I was like, it was sort of my whole personality for a while, like that level.
Yeah.
And it was very intense. It was an intense love. But to the point that I definitely I was on the yearbook staff, if that wasn't already clear to anybody, and because I was on the yearbook staff, we could have basically whatever we wanted printed on the front of the book instead of our name.
Oh.
And my senior year yearbook definitely says Lauren Duchovny on the cover.
Wow. I'm so happy to have learned this.
I am very embarrassed, but it's okay. It's just okay.
It's okay.
That's fine.
You know about my first email, Neo's Angel. Come on. So I loved Neo from The Matrix. It's all right.
Also, Neo and Trinity. Come on. It's right there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You're so right.
Anyway, yeah. So I kind of fell off watching around season 6 to 7. I think partially because like I went to school and I didn't have TV access really anymore, but partially because like the show was going through these changes. Like the first movie had come out between seasons 5 and 6. And David Duchovny had the show move to LA. They had been previously filming in Vancouver, and just the whole palette of the show changed. And like a lot of the crew was different. Like, I don't know, the feel was different. Mm-hmm. And then Duchovny took some time off, and they had different characters in there. And I was like, I don't care about this, which is sad. Yeah. Or I mean, it certainly was at the time. Like, it kind of broke my heart.
Yeah, when you love something so much, and then it either because you don't like how it's going anymore, or just move on. It's sad. I hear you. I watched all of it. I was definitely sad when David Duchovny left.
Yeah. I mean, I love Robert Patrick, who played Agent Doggett, who stepped in as the skeptic to Scully's believer.
Yeah. Interestingly, yes. Oh my gosh. I did want to pick your brain about some plot point stuff because...
Oh, gosh.
Just a couple of specific things. Okay. Because like I said, you have been watching stuff, and my memory, even though I've watched it all, I have very specific, clear memories of certain things and then nothing else.
Sure. Yeah.
But one of the big things I do remember is the pregnancy arc with Scully. And I didn't know there was like kind of a real life thing going on as well.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened with this was in season 5, it's revealed that Scully had a baby while she was alien abducted back in season 2. During the episodes Dwayne Barry and Ascension, which are 2 of the episodes that I just watched. Oh gosh.
Research.
This is like extra nerdy for me.
I love it. You're in a good place.
But right, the whole abduction thing was written in because Gillian Anderson was pregnant in real life, and she had to go have a baby. And the episodes leading up to this, like her coats keep getting bigger and like her costumes keep getting billowier, and like and then she goes, she has the baby, she's off the show for like maybe like one episode. And then she comes back, and the plot of this is that she's coming back from having disappeared for a period of time. And she's like lying in a hospital, and I swear to heck, they must have like built up her boobs to like hide the pregnancy stomach, like, and because she's a slight little lady.
Yeah.
And those boobs are huge. I mean, it could be her milk had come in. I'm not sure. I wasn't there, but it definitely looked hilarious.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So right. So they bring in this plot arc in season 5. It turns out that the baby had been adopted out, and then I think the child died shortly after that. Scully is at the time pronounced infertile, but then definitely has a baby in season 8. Some kind of like miracle baby that I guess has psychic powers. I didn't watch that part. I don't know. I guess it's Mulder's child.
I thought it was. But then I thought it was an alien child. Maybe it's all
Maybe
of it.
it's both. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. She has that smallpox bee alien goo thing going on. So she could have weird DNA in there. I don't know her life.
That's true. I actually am fascinated, and I want to come back to at some point, the depiction of pregnancy in horror.
Yes. I love this. I will come back and talk about this literally anytime. I love so much that like the one admittance that we get from dudes in Hollywood that being female might suck is all of these horror pregnancy tropes.
Yes.
Anyway.
In every horror, you're like, oh, you're pregnant? Oh, no.
Oh, nope.
No.
Or when like a dude is pregnant in whatever way, like an alien or something like that, how completely horrifying it's horrifyingly
portrayed. Yes, exactly. Well, another day.
Yeah.
But something else you mentioned that I didn't pick up on when I was watching this is how Scully is kind of depicted as a foil. There's other women that are kind of
yeah. So like the principal cast of the show is really like Scully and a bunch of dudes. It's basically all dudes and Scully. But like there's lady characters in like episode to episode, and I remember them all being if anyone has watched more of it more recently than me, like check me if I'm wrong, but I remember them always being written as like people. Like imagine that, like weird.
Whoa.
I know, right? Like occasionally episodes would be centered around like using speculative fiction to create metaphors around lady issues of one kind or another, which were probably a little bit too on the nose, but that's okay. Certainly one standout side random lady character for me is Dr. Bambi Berenbaum.
The name alone.
Who is an entomologist.
Okay.
I'm saying the right one. It's bugs, not words. Yeah, entomologist. Yes, great. And she her parents were both naturalists. That's why she has the name Bambi.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but
sure.
She is this lovely kind of buxom woman who Mulder meets in one of my favorite episodes, War of the Coffrophages in season 3. And he has a total crush on her. He's like goofy.
Hard eyes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The whole thing. And she's talking about cockroaches, and he hates bugs, and like, so it's very funny. But also like Scully is like trying to get a hold of him while he's trying to get his game on.
Oh no!
And at one point, he just answers the phone and goes like, "Not now," and hangs it right back up.
Oh my goodness!
So when Scully finally meets her, like Scully is very snippy, which I get was like funny, but I don't appreciate the writing of. I hate the trope of like ladies hate other ladies, especially when there's a love interest possibly involved.
Right.
Especially because they were not even in a relationship at that point, except in my mind.
Right. Oh my gosh. We're going to talk about this in the shipping part, but I feel like that's what are you doing at that point?
Right. Yeah, come on. But that was the thing, I was certainly noticing going back through, they start acting like an old married couple pretty much immediately. Like,
really?
and certainly when she gets abducted in season 2, like it is clear that Mulder would kill or die for this lady. Like he is just completely, it's sort of like Aziraphale and Crowley. And yeah.
Yeah. That's so, again, Lauren, I'm so glad you're here because you're bringing such knowledge to it. Because like I said, I don't want listeners to be hearing me and be like, what? She doesn't know anything about this. I did watch it all, but I think I was just too young.
Oh, sure.
To pick up on a lot of it. But that is definitely interesting that they were already, especially since Chris Carter, as we already said, was saying, I didn't want a romantic relationship. And then it seems like...
Yeah. It's also like, it's so difficult to, you have two attractive people together. And I think the reaction is like, oh, they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Especially if it's two people who are like attracted to that sex of person.
Right.
Or that gender. Yeah.
Right.
And so part of it is just that we have so few examples in media of people who aren't in relationships, so people who are just friends and who that is a sustained long-term friendship.
Yes.
Which
Absolutely.
is borked. That is completely silly. That happens in real life so many times.
Yes. Yes. And I've been talking about this too, because since I'm not into romance, I identify as gray sexual, asexual. I don't know why I'm always looking for a romance and stuff. Like, why is this happening?
Oh,
I don't
man.
even like it.
Yeah. But
it feels like we've made it into a more important relationship.
Absolutely.
Than a friendship. And that shouldn't be.
It shouldn't.
No. But, oh my goodness. That we're almost getting to the shipping part of this conversation.
We are. One other lady that I wanted to point out from the show is starting in season 4. There was a lady informant. We had previously had Deep Throat and Mr. X, and now this lady informant came in.
Okay.
By the name of Marita Korvishnikis. Yes, that's her name. It's Russian. But anyway, she was this like very ice queen stereotype, and so she was also in contrast with Scully being so much
right.
goofier and warmer and like
right.
Fans hated her.
Oh no.
Hated her. Yeah.
Well, this is, I mean, going back to your point, is she's the only woman in the show. I feel like every other woman that comes on is going to be pitted against her.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Which is, we've talked about that before. It shouldn't be the case that like there's one spot and then everyone else is an enemy of that one
absolutely.
spot.
Yeah. Like if your entire principal cast is white and then you necessarily only have room for black people to be villains. And it's just like,
right.
That is so wrong. Why is this a thing?
Yes.
Supernatural and Buffy, what the heck were you doing? Anyway.
Yes. Anyway, one of the reasons I really wanted to talk about this is because since it's the 30th anniversary, there have been a lot of headlines about how the X-Files shaped the internet.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is actually not a thing that I realized until you brought it to my attention.
Yes. And it's wild how much of an impact it had. And again, as I said, with fan fiction, this is a space that has a lot of women, a lot of queer people, a lot of marginalized people in it, because perhaps they're not represented in the thing they're watching or the thing they're enjoying. So I wanted to go into a couple of those things and talk about our maybe experiences with that. But one of the big things is communities, like fan communities online. And when the show came out in 1993, that was when a lot of us in the United States were getting access to the internet regularly for the first time. It might not have been good.
Oh, no. That was definitely during dial-up days.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that modem sound lives in my brain forever. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's the sound of nightmares. Younger listeners, you don't know. You don't even know. But the interesting thing too, I was thinking about this, is that kind of dovetails with how I feel like the internet allowed a lot of these like here's this picture of Bigfoot. Here's this, like,
oh, sure.
It kind of proliferated a lot of things that the X-Files was talking about.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, and right. It really made possible because previous to that, like anyone who was talking about those kind of mysteries and real world lore and fringe theories, like had to do it by zine and and like mail and, you know, and so you might write letters back and forth. But the internet let people connect like that.
It did.
I mean, not instantly. Like you had to go make a cup of coffee while a page loaded. But
I would take a shower. 30 minutes later, it might be loaded. Who knows? But yeah, it really did. And that is part of what shaped our internet as it is. So people who loved the X-Files called themselves X-Files, Philes.
Yep. That is a moniker that I self-identified by.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear about this.
Oh, jeez.
So here's a quote from CNN about this.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. CNN wrote about it. The show's peak popularity in the mid to late 90s coincided with the proliferating use of the internet, where fans, self-proclaimed X-Files, gathered to debate theories and behind-the-scenes gossip while posting fan fiction, fan art, and more.
Oh, wow. This is from a 2023 article.
Yes.
This is from like recently.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm telling you, Lauren, there's a reason we're talking about this.
That's great. Yeah. And yeah, like in addition to, I really do think it dovetailed with the internet because the show lent itself to fandom so much because it raised so many questions and did involve all of these mysteries and little pieces of lore and bits of conspiracy. And, you know, like it was a little less niche and sexier than other nerd dramas of the era, like Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like people who would not be caught dead watching Star Trek thought X-Files was cool.
Right. And I think part of that was maybe they'll get together.
I mean,
which leads us to fan fiction. As you know, I love to talk about, listeners. I am shocked. I never read X-Files fan fiction.
Really? Oh,
No.
wow.
You know what I started on?
What?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, God. Wow. Yes. You are younger than me. That's great. That's bonkers. Yeah, I was probably like Sailor Moon and X-Files were two of my earliest.
Okay,
like,
was there some good X-Files fan fiction?
No.
Oh, yeah. No. But it filled a need.
It did. I definitely, I don't think I ever wrote any particularly. Like I did write a class assignment like that featured Mulder because you had to like describe someone in detail. So, and I was like, I can do that. And it's not a real person, so I'm not going to insult anybody. That's great.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't into the writing part at that point.
Okay. I should check it out. Because I'm sure it's still there.
I'm positive it is.
The community is still there. I wrote a Lord of the Rings fan fiction, and I had a friend read it, and she was like, they kissed for 4 minutes. And I was like, is that not normal? She was like, no. And then I didn't post it.
Oh.
No, it was good. It was good.
Well, I'm sorry that you were discouraged, but I'm glad that it was for good reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love that she was like, no.
Yeah. I mean, but like definitely it was clear to me and all of my friends that Mulder and Scully we're
gonna get together.
We're gonna get together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was rooting for it for a very long time until it happened, and then I was mad.
Ooh, I can't wait to talk about that. Yes. So my friend who discouraged me from posting this fan fiction, she also was she was the same one I listened on the phone with. She was like, they're going to get together. She was giving me all these clues and like, see this look and all of these things. I was like, oh, I don't know. As I've said many times, the X-Files was one of the first large fanfiction communities online. And it was so big that the Scotland Yard investigated because they thought that it was a cult and perhaps they should intervene.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of a cult. They did not need to intervene. No one.
It's just like they looked intensely at each other. Yeah. Which brings us to shipping at last. Yes, you can see our episode for shipping we did recently for more about this. But shipping or relationshipping is what it sounds like. It can look a million different ways. Anyway, you can imagine, but it's essentially putting people or peoples into a relationship.
Who are not canonically.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even real life people.
Oh, yes, that creeps me out.
But yes, that does happen. And it involves often like fan works, fan fiction, music, fan art.
Fan videos, sure.
Like a community around like, again, did you see this look? Or did you see this?
Yeah. And very, right. And especially with the internet, very immediate and very intense.
Yes. Yes. And there are also anti-shippers. I was going to say or no romos, but I actually think they're different. Okay, so anti-shippers, I would say, are somebody who are like, I don't want this ship to happen, and I hate this ship. I would say no romos are more like, I just don't want romance.
Okay, all right.
That's my experience. Again, you can listen to our shipping episode where we talked about how that went really wrong on Tumblr, but
yeah.
Yeah, but in either case, they can be just as passionate as shippers in like, I really don't want this to happen. And some of the earliest online no romos felt like they lost when Mulder and Scully, their relationship became canon. They're like, oh, this war.
Yeah, we have
to lay down our weapons.
Yes, I have been defeated by their smooches. Yeah. As it turns out, like, I guess I just wanted the unresolved sexual tension.
Yes.
That's what I dug. That's what I enjoyed. I didn't actually want it to happen on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the tension.
Right. So I talked about this in our shipping episode. Sometimes I think you can ship something, but by shipping it, you don't actually want it to ever happen.
Right.
You kind of just like the idea of what it might be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And also, there are plenty of examples of, yes, when the ship becomes canon, it did not go how you wanted it to.
That too, absolutely. Like, which is one of the purposes of fan fiction, is to, like, create something that the way that you would do it.
Mm-hmm.
And once you've done that, then you can be setting yourself up for failure in terms of, like, what actually comes next and what the creators choose to do.
Right, exactly. And I would also say there are, and I would put myself in this category, there are multi-shippers. Like, I could just ship, like, oh, yeah, sure, them.
Yeah,
I don't know.
great.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, right? That's fun. Yeah. I don't have a particular attachment a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
To a particular, especially in like a team-up kind of thing, like an Avengers universe kind of thing like that. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Let's see what they would be like in a relationship.
Yeah.
Cool. But I don't ever want it to happen usually. I'm just kind of like, I'm interested. Huh?
Yeah, right. You could read it that way. You could read it this other way. How interesting. Exactly. It's like a fun little science experiment, right? You're just like, I don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah, but it is interesting with the show like X-Files where you do have like, in a very heteronormative sense, like this attractive woman, attractive man. And it was like, are they?
But are they?
Mm-hmm.
Are they? When
will it happen? Yes.
Yeah. And so, right, I had literally no idea that the word shipping was invented with the X-Files fandom.
Yes, it was. I didn't know that either. Like, we have been doing it since we've been creating entertainment, but the term shipping, relationshipping, was first used in 1993 in X-Files fandom. And the fun part of this is, it's all online. You can see all these old posts. They've been archived and it's beautiful.
Oh dear.
Yes.
That makes me suspect that probably some of my very embarrassing, like 13-year-old, like fan theories about stuff are out there somewhere. The truth is out. The posts are out there.
Yes. Yes. Oh, they're great. Like,
oh heck,
it is. I recommend looking it up. But yeah, interestingly to me, because shipping has gone mainstream now, people use it all the time. But at this point, it was viewed as something strange people did. Like, what are you doing? You don't think this show is perfect? You're trying to do your own thing? Like, oh, you're not a real fan. And there would be email attacks. They would get harassed. Like, it was so some of the posts you'll see were like, hey, I'm doing my shipping thing, but I'm not bothering you. Like,
yeah. Like you can feel however you want to about it. This is just how I feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even some of them said, like, I don't even want it to become a romance show. That's like the last thing I want.
Yeah.
I just am kind of exploring this aspect of it.
Yeah. I'm just saying that they want a bone. Because
I just want to smush their faces together.
They're both attractive faces that would look nice.
Yeah. Kind of. Exactly. I did read, I don't know if this is true, I haven't really looked into it, but I did read that UST, Unresolved Sexual Tension, as you said, was also from X-Files. I also heard MSR, Mulder Scully Romance, was a whole term.
Okay, I don't remember that one, but sure.
And then I want to read this quote again from CNN. But there's no denying how much the online discourse revolved around the Mulder and Scully pairing, whether it involved shippers and no romos, good-naturedly, or in all seriousness, flaming each other in online forums, or Mulder/Scully fan fiction or fan videos set to schmaltzy love songs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Fan videos, man.
Fan video? Oh, I would watch them when I was younger. I would be like, yes, the proof I needed. But I also forgot about flaming. Yep.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, we're going to get into the impact. But again, just so you know, if you're hearing anything around us, you are listening to Stuff I've Never Told You with Lauren Vogelbaum, guest host. Thank you so much. Live at the iHeart Podcast Studio, powered by Bose at the House of Music at iHeartRadio Music Festival. It's fun to be talking about the X-Files with all of this going on outside. I wish we could showcase what's happening.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. There's just people walking by and kind of waving or just sort of staring, being a little bit confused. I'm just talking about my fanfic feels about Mulder and Scully.
It feels right.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Absolutely.
Yeah. We are in the 90s, the weirdos that are quarantined from people going to do other things.
Yes. Oh heck.
But yeah, we did want to talk about the impact that this show had and Scully had.
Oh sure, right. Because like, all right, like when X-Files really in general just paved the way for other genre fiction in television. It did dovetail with the launch of the Sci-Fi Channel in 1992. But like without X-Files, I don't think we would have had Lost or Buffy or certainly Fringe or Supernatural or like Rick and Morty or, on and on. It kind of created its own genre of what we were talking about earlier, of like long-running TV series that have main recurring characters and like an overall plot arc-ish, but are also allowed to play from episode to episode within the broader realm of what genre fiction is or what it can be. And yeah, like even in the same episode sometimes bouncing from horror to mystery to drama to comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you haven't watched this, listeners, like some of the episodes, they'll stay with you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some of them are very hecking upsetting.
Yeah.
I did not watch Home ever again.
Yes. That one's yep. We talked about that one in the Bridget episode.
Or I think I might have watched it like one other time. I was like, maybe. Nope, still very upsetting. Nope, still don't like that. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of those episodes that was like, there's no supernatural part to this one, really.
Just people.
Just
people.
Being terrible.
Yeah. That episode got banned from ever being aired again.
Yep. Sure did.
But yeah, no, like some of the images and some of the, I still think of there was one episode where Scully got a tattoo and started tripping out, and like there was all of this bad stuff happening, and I still think about that one. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. Heck.
Yeah. Ooh. And it has had, I was reading a list of like all of the instances the X-Files has appeared in like songs or other media, and it's just, it's a huge list. It had this really big impact. And Scully did too. People loved her. Like, she was really critically acclaimed, and she's stuck around. She has a Barbie, which I love. She's always on these lists of iconic heroines that have often inspired other iconic heroines in media. And the legacy of her, a lot of people write, is she encouraged a whole generation of young women, of young girls, to think about a career in STEM, whether they pursued it or not. Like, just to think like, maybe I want to do that.
Yeah, I can do that. She's doing that so well. She's so professional and good at this job. And maybe I could. Yeah, why not?
Yes. And let us talk about that a minute. So we did do the episode with Bridget where she really broke this down.
Yeah.
Really well. So check that out. But just in case, since we're doing kind of a like roundup of all of our X-Files news.
Just put it all in one place.
Just
totally.
to put it in one place. So the Scully effect is essentially something that has been studied by the Gina Davis Institute.
Which I love. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. 2,000 women they surveyed, they found, quote, among the women who are familiar with the character, 50% say Scully increased their interest in STEM, and 43% say that they considered working in STEM because of her.
Wow.
91% that knew of her said she was a good role model. And it was great reading the stories people wrote. They would talk about like just sitting around and watching the show with friends and being like inspired. Like, okay, maybe
so
I'm gonna go do that. Isn't it?
That's so cool.
Yes.
It kind of had the opposite effect for me. I was like, I definitely couldn't do an autopsy. I could never do an autopsy in my life. I'm not going to go into that one, but still appreciate the role model, of course.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's also fair. Sometimes you gotta recognize like that. I could do it, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
Yes, and I do love when Gillian Anderson was asked about this. She said, "We got a lot of letters all the time, and I was told quite frequently by girls who were going into the medical world or the science world or the FBI world or other worlds that I reigned that they were pursuing those pursuits because of the character of Scully." And I said, yay.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Isn't it?
That's really cool.
I love it so much.
Oh.
And that's the importance of representation. Representation isn't everything, but it is important. Like, if you're watching something as a kid at 3 a.m., you're huddled in front of the TV, and you're like, oh, I want to be like her. Oh, I could do it. She can do it. Like, that's important. It is important.
Absolutely. Abso-heck-a-lutely.
Mm-hmm.
More of that, please.
Yes. But this brings us to our final note. And I wanted to put this in here because I love it, but also because Samantha did threaten me if I don't talk about the book. We do mention Scully's pantsuits in the Sminty book.
Okay.
Yes. So one thing people love about this character are her pantsuits. There are tumblers. Just pantsuits.
That's amazing. Yes. I am so proud of the internet for that. That's beautiful.
Yes.
So if you're unfamiliar with the show, she was always wearing, or most of the time, like her professional business attire was these big suits, like these big puffy suit jackets and long trench coats and tapered pants, and that evolved over time as style evolved. But But yeah, certainly in the beginning in 1993, it was that very boxy concept of the early 90s. And then as third wave feminism really hit pop culture and we started getting, the Buffy Summers and the Cher Horowitzes and the Spice Girls of the world, then like outfits started changing and business attire for women started becoming hyper feminine in some ways and like certainly more sleek, but less based on menswear and less giant shoulder pads.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see our the profile we did on Dana Scully for more about that, because I do love talking about her pantsuits. But they are very popular. A lot of people call it competence core.
Yeah.
And you can trace kind of what you were talking about, how her costuming changed. And there is an interesting narrative of like you fitting into a male space by wearing more male clothes and then more traditionally male clothes, and then moving away from that. And what does that mean? But it is fascinating. I'm a big let's talk about costuming person. So.
Oh gosh, yeah. And as a character too, like she's going through all of these changes, and she's getting a lot more. She kind of rediscovers herself throughout the course of the show, and what she wants that to be, and what that can be.
Right. I have the most epic shoulder pad. It's a dress suit. It's not a pantsuit.
Okay.
I think it's my mom's, but it might be one of her sisters.
Okay.
But it's magenta.
Oh my goodness.
And it has roses like embroidered. And it is the most like feminine business power dress suit you can imagine.
That's amazing.
And I still have it because
you do.
I love it.
You should never let that go. That sounds beautiful and very intense at the same time.
Every time I wear it, it adds like inches out of my shoulders.
Yeah. Oh, heck, for sure. So I graduated high school in the year 2000, and while this show was still very much a thing, and for sure, the like interview suit that I went out and bought was a double-breasted pinstripe suit.
Yes.
With it's a Scully suit. That's what it is. That's just what it is.
It's like low-key cosplay.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And I've never actually done a Scully, like a full Scully cosplay, but the suit's right there. I mean,
I know. And we talked about. Well, I said I might cosplay as Scully, and then I just didn't.
Oh, right. But, yeah. Oh, I was so sad when I heard that.
I was like, I'm going to show up to this. And then I was like, but my backpack is minutes from breaking, which it really is. But yeah,
well, maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
And we can always just casual cosplay some Scully. Like, I mean,
That's
we can
true.
We can just show up to the next like work meeting or whatever it is, like both in our.
See if anyone realizes what it is. I love that game.
Yeah, yeah. You're good at that game.
I am good at that game. It's a strange sense of accomplishment when no one realizes it.
Sure.
But then it's also like appreciation when someone does. It's a strange.
Totally.
Well, any closing thoughts on the X-Files, Lauren?
It gave us the gift of Gillian Anderson. She did write and direct an episode in one of the later seasons. I want to say season 8-ish, maybe. And, I'm so glad that she's been able to have a lovely career, and because I enjoy watching her. It's so fun whenever she's in anything. And her British accent is so on point.
Yes.
I think you guys talked about that too. And I like what a weird 30 years ago. That's fine. That's great. That's fine. Yeah.
A lot of things. Jurassic Park as well. 30 years.
Wow. Heck.
Which I also got trouble for watching. Yeah. This is 1993 was a risky year for me.
Apparently, yeah.
A lot of groundings happened that year. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fascinating to look back at the impact it's had, especially now when we didn't know what the internet was going to be. We didn't know it was gonna become this thing. And the creators didn't know, we didn't know. The X-Files was going to be such a big part of that. And how much it did impact fan communities who are largely women. And then like the Scully effect.
The Scully effect.
Like, that's amazing.
That's so cool. That is the coolest thing about this weird genre television show from the 1990s.
It is. I would love to hear from listeners if you haven't watched it. Oh my gosh. Go and watch it and let us know what you think.
Yes. Yeah, let us know. Maybe do it in 2 parts. Like, let us know what you think it's going to be based on this episode. If you got all the way through this episode having have never watched it.
Yes.
And then the after.
Yes. Oh
take.
My gosh. If anyone wants to just like constantly update us, like, what?
Yeah. Sorry, I've just given you homework, but yeah, that would be fabulous.
It's great homework though.
Very fun homework.
It is good homework. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for guesting on this. This was so fun.
It was. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, of course. In this wild environment. We're going to try to get some pictures and post them.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Yeah.
But lovely. Thanks so much to iHeart and to Bose for having us here.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to let us know about your X-Files watching,
yes,
you can. You can email us at stephaniemomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Mom Never Told You. We have a TeePublic store. And we do have a book where we talk about Dana Scully. You can get it at stuffyoushouldreadbooks.com. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey. And special thanks to Paul, who is here helping us out, friend of the show, at this event. And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.